I just wanted to draw to your attention the ESP, because this is a really simple little synth that's actually very good for bass sounds. And I'm just going to show you here the way it is. I've got the default setting, but what I've done is on the oscillator section here, I've taken all of these down so you can hear these in isolation. So first of all, we've got the triangle. There's a sawtooth and a pulse. These are all the high notes. There is a lower octave, which is a pulse, and then even lower octave, which is for the real sub, the bottom end. So we can layer these together. So let me just show you a few combinations. We've got the low sub here. Got a nice thick solid bass. If I bring the frequency on the cutoff down, reduce the resonance a bit, let's bring in one of the others. Strip some of these away so you can hear them a bit more clearly on their own. So you get some really interesting tones by layering these together. Let's open that frequency again. Get some real thick basses. We're talking 3 oscillators here. Or if you just wanted them quite warm. I've got a little sequence here. Let's see how these fit, see if we need to make any tweaks. Now, because this one is pretty low in terms of the musical key, that lower octave feels like it's a little bit too much. So if I do that, reduce the sub, let's bring this one up. Got a much better balance now. When you're working with a synth that's like this, if you have the analyzer, you can see what's going on with the frequencies, the lows. So look what happens. Let me just speed up the response of this. I'm going to take the analyzer decay to 30 dBs per second. So watch. That's with that lower pulse. Here's the high one. But look what happens if we bring in the really low one. Really, really subby down there. And that loud is going to be a little bit too much. So as before, we can adjust the balance of the oscillators. So you can see the mids lifting when we did that. So something like that, how it is there, is actually working quite nicely. It's sitting quite nicely. Even so though, we might need to put on a low cut. Certainly not as high as that, but maybe something like 35. Slightly higher. And let's see how that sits now with the other elements. It's another one that's worth checking out specifically for bass lines.